The day began like any normal work shift for Evan Hawley, the young human engineer who lived and worked on Station ARC-17, a small but busy human outpost near the far edge of known space. He woke early, drank terrible station coffee, and walked to the docking bay with his toolkit hanging from his shoulder. He expected a quiet morning. Maybe he would repair a few damaged panels, fix a broken light, or clean up after careless pilots. Nothing special, but fate had other plans waiting. Evan was standing on a metal platform high above the docking floor, tightening a loose connection on docking arm 3 when the whole place began to shake. The lights flickered. The alarm buzzed once short. Confused, almost like the station itself did not understand what was happening. Then the bay doors opened with a loud metallic groan. A giant alien shuttle, black and silver, pushed into the docking area without permission, without identification, and without slowing down. It slid into place with shocking force, almost smashing into the dock. Sparks flew. The station crew ran for cover. Evan froze in place, one hand still gripping his wrench. What is that thing? He whispered. He had seen many alien ships before, but this one felt different. It was huge, armored like a war tank, and marked with glowing red patterns shaped like lightning bolts. The metal skin looked battle-scarred. Every line of it screamed danger. Before station security could respond, the ship's side door hissed open, releasing a cloud of cold white vapor. The sound echoed across the wide docking bay and made every person go silent. Through the vapor stepped a tall, muscular alien warrior. His skin was dark blue, his armor thick and sharp, and his eyes glowed gold like molten metal. He looked around slowly, scanning every face in the room. Then his glowing eyes landed on Evan. He pointed a large clawed finger straight at him. "You," the alien said in a deep, heavy voice that shook the air. "Human engineer, come here." Evan blinked. He looked behind him, thinking maybe the alien meant someone else, but he was alone on the platform. "You mean me?" Evan asked. "Yes," the alien said. "You, Evan Hawley." The fact that the alien knew his name made Evan's skin crawl. Evan climbed down the metal ladder as slowly as he could, hoping this was all some strange misunderstanding. But the warrior was waiting for him, unmoving, silent as a statue. The moment Evan's boots touched the floor, the alien took one long step forward and said something that made every human in the bay stop breathing. "Human, marry my sister. She has no legs, she cannot walk out on you." The words hit Evan like a punch to the chest. He stood there, stunned. The other station workers stared. A few soldiers from security dropped their weapons in confusion. Evan opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. His brain refused to work. The alien warrior crossed his arms. Waiting for an answer like this was the most normal request in the universe. "What?" Evan finally managed to say. "Marry your sister? What? Why? How? What is going on?" The warrior did not blink. "It is a simple proposal. You will marry her." "That's not simple," Evan said, his voice cracking. "I don't even know you." "You may know us later," the warrior replied calmly. There was no time now. 4 more armored aliens suddenly stepped out from the shuttle behind him. They formed a wall around Evan, blocking every possible escape route. Their golden eyes locked on him. Evan felt his stomach drop. Security officers tried to aim their weapons, but lowered them again when the aliens raised their claws. No one wanted to start a fight. The Arcanite species was known for its strength and honor, but also for its brutal temper. The lead warrior leaned close to Evan, so close that Evan could feel the alien's breath on his face. "My sister is in danger," the warrior said. "She needs a human partner to protect her by ancient law. You are chosen." "Chosen by who?" Evan asked, voice shaking. "By me," the alien answered without hesitation. "You will meet her now. Then you decide." But know this time is short. Enemies hunt her. They may already be here. The docking bay suddenly felt colder. Evan sensed eyes watching from the shadows. Something unseen. Something threatening. The warrior stepped back toward the shuttle. "Come," he ordered. "Meet Lyra. See why you must marry her." Evan looked around. The security team shrugged helplessly. The station crew avoided eye contact. The alien guards waited. Every instinct in Evan's body screamed danger, but another part of him, some strange, curious part, needed to know the truth. Needed to know why a warlike alien would travel across space just to ask a random engineer to marry his sister. With a deep breath, Evan stepped forward toward the alien shuttle, and the door closed behind him like the mouth of a giant beast. Inside of the alien shuttle felt nothing like Evan expected. He thought it would be dark, cold, and full of weapons. Instead, the moment the doors closed behind him, the air warmed, the lights softened, and the walls glowed a gentle silver blue. It felt almost peaceful, as if the ship tried to calm him after the shock in the docking bay. But Evan was not calmed. His heart beat fast, and his hands shook a little as he followed the tall Arcanite warrior through a long hallway. The warrior did not speak, did not look back, and did not explain anything. Evan felt like a mouse walking behind a lion. The ship turned again and again, its halls curving like a maze. Evan began to think the alien was purposely confusing him. Maybe this was a trap. Maybe he would never see the station again. Then, finally, the hallway opened into a round chamber filled with soft white light, and there she was. A young Arcanite girl sat in the center of the room on a floating platform, a small hover chair, shaped like a silver bowl. She had bright teal skin, large silver eyes, and long white hair tied in a simple braid. Her legs were gone from above the knees, replaced by smooth silver fabric that wrapped around her lower body. But she did not look sad. She did not look weak. She looked amused. As if she had been waiting for Evan and found the entire situation funny. The warrior stepped aside and announced loudly, "Lyra, this is the human, Evan Halley." Lyra blinked twice, her silver eyes glowing faintly. Then she smiled, a soft, warm smile that made Evan forget for a moment how terrified he was. "So, this is him?" she said. Her voice was clear, almost musical. "The human my dear brother wants me to marry?" Evan's mouth went dry. Her brother answered with pride, "Yes, he is strong. He is smart. He will be loyal." "Yes, yes," Lyra sighed, waving her hand. "He looks terrified." "That is a sort of strength, I think." Evan finally found his voice. I'm very confused." Lyra rolled her eyes with playful humor. "Well, at least he is honest." Her hover chair drifted closer to him, moving silently through the air. She studied him from head to toe, tilting her head like a scientist examining a newly found creature. "You are smaller than I expected," she said calmly. Evan coughed. Thank you." Or, "Sorry." Lyra giggled, and it echoed softly in the chamber. "You do not need to be sorry. Humans are small. But you are also brave. You walked onto this ship even when you feared my brother might eat you." Evan blinked. "Eat me?" Her brother crossed his arms. "I would not eat a human. They taste odd." Evan stepped back with a squeak. Lyra laughed again and raised her hand. The hover chair glided closer until she was only a few feet away from Evan. "You look like a good person," she said more gently. "Your eyes show worry, but also kindness. That is rare." Evan swallowed. "I still don't understand what's happening. Why me? Why marriage?" Lyra sighed, and her smile faded a little. The room grew quieter. Even her warrior brother stepped back. "You deserve the truth," Lyra said softly. "So listen carefully." Her voice lowered, becoming serious. "I was born with a rare Arcanite genetic line. A line many in the Empire fear. Some believe my bloodline gives me a special gift. Others fear this gift will create chaos. My clan was destroyed because of this belief. She touched the fabric around her lower body. My legs were removed when I was young to keep me hidden, to make me look weak. It was the only way to keep me alive. Evan's heart tightened. He had expected a strange story, but not this. My brother has protected me for years, Lyra continued. But now the rival clan has found us again. They will not stop until I am dead. Her hover chair lowered slightly, almost like she bowed. Her head, there is one law, one path of safety. If I marry a human citizen of the Earth Alliance, I gain full diplomatic protection. The rival clan cannot touch me. Not without starting a war, they cannot win. She raised her eyes to Evans. That is why my brother chose you. Evans stared at her, stunned. But why me? Why not someone important? Lyra gave him a small, sad smile. Because you were brave last year. You saved a group of alien children from a reactor leak. The story reached our clan. You became known as the human who runs toward fire. Evan felt his face grow hot. He had never wanted fame. Lyra's voice softened even more. My brother thinks you are the perfect partner. Strong enough to protect me. Kind enough to care. She tapped the hover chair, and it floated back a little. But I will not force you, she said. I am practical, not desperate. You may refuse. I will simply run away. She paused. Well, not run. Evan actually laughed despite everything. For the first time he looked at Lyra not as a strange alien girl, but as someone brave, clever, and unexpectedly funny, and that made everything even more complicated. Evan stood quietly in the round chamber, still trying to process everything he had just heard. Lyra's words echoed in his mind, her hidden bloodline, the danger, the ancient law that could save her life. It was too much, too fast. He felt like someone had thrown him into a story he never asked to join. The tall warrior brother Karn stepped forward, his heavy armor clinking softly with each movement. His golden eyes glowed, but not with anger this time. With sadness. You know part of the truth now, Karn said. But there is more. Much more. Evan swallowed hard. There's more? Lyra nodded slowly. The enemy is not just cruel. They are desperate. Her hover chair drifted lower, as if the weight of her memories pulled her down. Karn rested one large hand on her shoulder. Tell him, Lyra. He must understand why we came here. Lyra took a deep breath and raised her eyes to Evan. They were steady and strong, even though her voice trembled. My family was part of the crystal vein line, she said. A rare line of Arcanites born with a special energy inside the bloodstream. The energy allows us to resist certain diseases and survive extreme conditions. Some call it a blessing. Others call it a weapon. Evan listened carefully, trying to understand. So, people fear you because your blood is special? Not only fear, Lyra said. Some believe our blood can be used, controlled, turned into power for war. A cold chill ran up Evan's spine. Karn's face hardened. The rival clan, the Varkan, destroyed every member of Lyra's line except us. They think if Lyra dies, the bloodline ends forever. Why do they want that? Evan asked quietly. Because they want to control the Empire, Karn said. The crystal vein line is the last thing standing between them and complete rule. They fear her blood, but they also want it for their own experiments. They will not stop until she is dead or captured. Lyra looked down at her lap, and captured is worse. Evan didn't ask why. He didn't want to imagine it, even in simple words. The truth was heavy and dark. But why come to me? Evan asked softly. Why not go to Earth Alliance and ask for help directly? The Alliance cannot protect her, Karn said. Not unless she has a legal tie to a human citizen. Marriage, Evan whispered. Lyra nodded. It is the fastest and strongest kind of bond. It gives me full protection under human law. Even the strongest alien clans fear the Alliance. Karn stepped closer, his giant shadow falling over Evan. You were chosen because you are known for your courage. You saved children from a reactor leak. You risked your life for strangers. That kind of heart is rare among all species. Evan rubbed the back of his neck, embarrassed. I just did what anyone would do. No, Karn said firmly. Most would have run. The chamber grew quiet again, but then Lyra's hoverchair floated a little higher, and she looked at Evan with a new seriousness in her eyes. There's another reason, she said softly. One my brother did not tell you. Karn shifted uncomfortably. Lyra, no, she said. He deserves the full truth. Evan's stomach tightened. What truth? Lyra took a breath. The Varkan clan already knows I am alive. They already tracked us. They know we are on this station. Evan's heart dropped. What? How long have you known? Since this morning, Lyra said. We detected a coded Varkan signal outside the station. They are watching. They are waiting. And they are looking for us. Evan suddenly felt the walls of the chamber closing in around him. Karn clenched his fists. We came quickly, hoping to bond Lyra with a human before the enemy could act. If she marries you, they cannot touch her. Not without starting a war, they cannot win. And if I don't marry her? Evan asked, afraid of the answer. Karn's voice lowered. Then they will come for her. And they will kill anyone in their way. Evan felt a tight knot forming in his chest. His mind raced with fear, confusion, and responsibility he never asked for. He was just an engineer. A normal human. Not a soldier, not a leader, not a hero, but Lyra looked at him with her calm silver eyes that carried sadness, courage, and quiet hope. I will not force you, she said gently. I know this is too much for one human to handle. If you say no, I will accept it. I can run, I can hide again. I have done it before. But they will find you, Evan whispered. Yes, Lyra said softly. But that is my problem, not yours. Evan shook his head slowly. He did not feel brave. He did not feel ready. But he felt something stronger than fear. He felt that turning away from Lyra would break something inside him before he could speak. The alarms on the alien shuttle began to scream. Red lights flashed. Karn immediately stepped into battle stance. They found us, he growled. The Varkan are here. Lyra looked at Evan with wide, terrified eyes. The danger had arrived faster than any of them expected. The red alarm lights inside the alien shuttle pulsed like a heartbeat, loud, sharp, and terrifying. Every flash of red painted the room in warning colors. Evan felt his pulse match the rhythm, fast and uneven. Lyra's hover chair lowered closer to the ground. As she stared at the glowing lights with fear in her silver eyes, Karn moved quickly to a control panel on the wall. His fingers, tipped with sharp claws, danced over glowing symbols. He growled something in his native tongue before switching to English. They have breached the outer scan field. The Varkan ship is close. Evan didn't know what that meant exactly, but the tension in Karn's voice told him it was bad, very bad. Lyra turned her chair toward Evan. I am sorry you were dragged into this, she said softly. I hoped you would have time to think. Time to choose without fear. But now, everything is happening too fast. Evan swallowed hard. What will they do if they find you on board? Karn answered without hesitation. They will try to take her, alive if possible, dead if not. The words hit Evan like ice. Lyra lowered her head. They will kill my brother too, and anyone who helps us. She paused, then added, that includes you. Evan felt weak for a moment, like his legs might stop holding him. He was an engineer. A fixer of broken metal, not a fighter. He knew how to repair docking arms, not how to battle alien clans with claws and warships. This whole morning felt like a nightmare he couldn't wake from. The alarm suddenly shifted tones, now a deeper, angrier sound. Karn slammed his hand against the control panel. They are forcing the docking latch. Evan's stomach flipped. They're coming onto the station? Yes, Karn replied. They know she is here. Lyra's hover chair moved. Closer to Evan. She looked up at him, her eyes shining with a strange mix of fear and acceptance. You do not have to stay, she whispered. If you run now, maybe you can hide before they enter. You are not marked like we are. Karn glared at her. No, he must stay. He is the only hope we have. Lyra raised a hand to silence him. I will not trap a human with fear, she said firmly. He must choose with his heart, not with panic. Evan stared at her. She was small, fragile-looking, with her missing legs and soft voice. But there was something incredibly strong inside her. A quiet fire. She didn't beg. She didn't demand. She gave him freedom even when she had none. Evan felt his throat tighten. I don't know what to do, he admitted. I barely understand this war. I barely understand you, Lyra nodded. That is fair. But I do know one thing, Evan continued. If I walk away now, I will never stop thinking about it. I will never stop wondering if you survive, or if I could have stopped something horrible. Lyra's eyes widened, hope slowly glowing inside them. Karn stepped forward. Human, think carefully. This choice binds you to her. Once done, it cannot be undone. I know, Evan said. He thought of all the times he tried to avoid trouble. On the station, how he preferred quiet work and simple days. How he always told himself he wasn't meant for big things. But maybe life didn't care what he preferred. Maybe life pushed people where they were needed most. He took a slow breath and looked at Lyra. I'm not brave, he said quietly. I'm not a fighter, but I don't want to run. A single tear slipped down Lyra's cheek. My brother was right. You have a rare heart. Before Evan could say more, the shuttle shook violently. A deep booming sound echoed through the hull. Karn roared. They are trying to breach the docking connection. Evan grabbed a nearby rail for balance. What do we do? Karn turned toward both of them, eyes blazing. You run to the human side of the station. Their laws stop the Varkan from attacking openly in that sector. I will hold them as long as I can. No, Lyra said firmly. You cannot fight them alone, Karn growled. I will not let them take you. Evan felt panic rising again. The Varkan were minutes, maybe seconds from boarding. He didn't know how many there were or what weapons they carried. But he knew one thing. We're coming for Lyra, and if they found her without protection, she was done. Lyra turned her chair toward Evan and held out her hand. Evan Hale. If you stay with me, you become my shield, my safety, my bondfriend under human law. Are you ready? Her hand shook slightly, not from fear, but from hope. Evan reached out slowly and held her hand. Yes, he said. I'm ready. The shuttle shook again. The danger was here. Karn growled in approval. Then we run. Now! And together, Evan, Lyra, and Karn, they fled into the twisting corridors as the enemy broke through the outer hatch. The moment Evan, Lyra, and Karn rushed out of the chamber and into the long silver hallway, the shuttle shook a third time, stronger, harder, almost like a giant fist slammed into its hull. Alarms howled through every corridor, and the lights flickered like dying stars. Karn ran ahead, his armored feet pounding against the floor. Move fast, they are almost inside. Lyra's hover chair floated beside Evan, matching his pace as he ran. She kept glancing behind them nervously, her silver eyes wide. Evan could hear his own breath, loud and shaky, echoing against the walls. His heart raced so fast he felt it might burst. They reached the end of the hallway where a circular door slid open with a hiss. Karn shoved them both through and slammed his hand on a glowing console. The door sealed behind them just as something crashed into it from the other side. Boom. The metal bent slightly inward. Evan froze. Lyra gasped. Karn growled deep in his throat. They are forcing their way in. They will break through soon. Evan looked around. They were now in a docking access tunnel that connected Karn's shuttle to the human part of the station. The tunnel was long and narrow, built with mixed human and alien tech. The lights were dimmer here, flickering from the impact stress. Where do we go? Evan asked. To the human sector, Karn said. Once there, they cannot attack without breaking Alliance laws. But they don't care about laws, Evan said. They're already attacking. They do care, Lyra said. They only break rules where they think they won't get caught. On the human side, there are cameras, guards, and strong political pressure. They will hesitate. Evan wasn't sure if hesitate meant safety, but he trusted her. Then a new sound echoed. Through the tunnel, clang, clang, clang. Metal claws scraping along the walls. Evan spun around, heart leaping into his throat. Shadows moved at the far end of the tunnel. The Varkan had already found another way in. Karn roared and pushed Evan and Lyra forward. Run, do not slow down, Evan obeyed. His legs moved before his brain could think. Lyra's hover chair shot forward beside him, humming urgently. Behind them, dark shapes entered the tunnel. 3 Varkan scouts, tall and thin, with armor like jagged stone and long metallic claws instead of fingers. Their eyes glowed sickly green, like poison. They moved fast. Too fast. One of them lifted an arm and fired a small energy bolt down the tunnel. The bolt hissed past Evan's head and burned a hole in the wall. Lyra cried out, "Keep running." "Don't stop." Evan stumbled but kept going, adrenaline taking control. Karn stayed behind them, drawing a massive blade from his armor. "I will slow them," Karn growled. "Do not look back." Evan couldn't help himself. He looked back anyway. Karn slammed into the nearest Varkan scout with a roar, knocking it into the wall so hard the metal dented. Sparks exploded. The 2 others charged at him, claws raised. Karn's blade swung in a silver arc, sending one flying backward. "Go!" Karn shouted. Evan forced himself to turn away. The tunnel shook again as the fight raged behind them. At the far end of the tunnel, the door to the human sector appeared. It was heavier, thicker, made of human steel. Evan reached it first and slapped his hand on the emergency panel. Nothing happened. "It's locked," Evan cried. Lyra reached the panel next and began tapping rapidly with her small, delicate hands. "I can hack it. Just give me a moment." Evan heard another terrible sound from behind them. Karn's pained roar. One of the Varkan must have cut him. Evan felt cold panic shoot through his chest. "Hurry," he yelled. "I'm trying." Lyra's voice cracked. Her fingers flew over the controls. "This system is old. The encryption is slow." The tunnel lights flickered, then went dark for a split second. When they came back on, a Varkan scout was only 20 feet away, stalking toward Evan with slow, hungry confidence. Its claws were wet with blood. "Karn," Lyra whispered. Evan stepped in front of her without thinking. His hands shook, but he lifted a loose metal pipe he grabbed from the floor earlier. It was nothing against claws and armor, but he wouldn't let the creature reach her. "You want her," Evan said, voice trembling. "You have to get through me." The Varkan let out a low, rasping laugh. Behind Evan, Lyra shouted, "Got it." The heavy door slid open with a metallic groan. Evan grabbed Lyra's hover chair and pulled her through the doorway. He dove after her just as the Varkan lunged. The creature's claws swept inches from Evan's back. Karn stumbled into view behind them, blood running down his arm. He slammed his massive fist onto the emergency close panel. The door shut with a thunderous clang. The Varkan slammed into it a second later, shaking the frame. Evan lay on the ground, chest heaving. Lyra hovered above him, breath shaky. Karn leaned against the sealed door, panting but alive. For the first time in minutes, Evan felt a tiny spark of hope. They had made it to the human sector, but the danger was far from over. The heavy steel door shuddered again as a Varkan slammed into it, claws scraping against the metal like knives. The sound rattled the entire hallway. Evan pushed himself up from the floor, still breathing hard, still shaking from the near-death chase. Lyra floated beside him, her hover chair humming unsteadily. Her silver eyes were wide with fear, but she kept her face calm for Evan's sake. Or maybe for her own courage. Karn leaned against the door, one hand pressed to the wound on his arm, where dark blue blood seeped between his fingers. He growled softly, more from frustration than pain. "They will try to break through," he said, "but the human steel is strong. We have time, not much but some." Evan swallowed. "How long?" Karn listened to the scratching claws, and heavy blows on the other side. 5 minutes, maybe less. 5 minutes. Evan felt a cold chill move down his spine. Lyra tapped a control on her hover chair, bringing up a small floating screen. "We cannot stay here. They may find another path into the human sector. The station is large, but the Varkan are hunters. They always look for weaknesses." Evan rubbed his forehead. "Then where do we go?" Lyra zoomed into the digital map. "We must reach the security core. From there, I can lock down the entire human wing." Karn nodded in agreement. "Yes, and you can send a distress signal to the Alliance patrol ships." "Exactly," Lyra said. Evan stared between them. "You can do that? You can control the station systems." Lyra lifted her chin with a bit of pride. "I may not have legs, but I have brains, many brains. Very useful brains." Even in panic, Evan almost laughed, but the pounding on the steel door reminded him that humor had no place now. "Okay," Evan said, taking a deep breath. "Security core it is. Lead the way." Karn pushed off the wall, ignoring the blood dripping down his arm. "Stay behind me. Do not fall behind. Do not question my speed. If danger comes, you run. Understood?" Evan nodded quickly. Lyra gave a small, brave nod. Together, they started moving down the long corridor. The human sector of the station was different. Brighter lights, wider halls, white panels, clean lines, and the soft hum of steady human machines. But today, the air felt wrong. Too quiet. Too empty. Most workers had already locked themselves in emergency rooms after hearing the alien alarms. The silence made every footstep sound like a drum. Karn walked ahead with purpose, scanning every corner with sharp golden eyes. Lyra floated behind him, hands ready on her hover controls. Evan stayed close to her, gripping the metal pipe he had picked up earlier. It was bent now from when he had fallen, but it made him feel less helpless. As they approached an intersection, Lyra suddenly lifted her hand. "Stop!" Karn froze. Evan froze. The hover chair halted silently. Lyra narrowed her eyes at the ceiling. "There's movement in the ventilation shaft above us." Evan felt his heart jump. "How do you know?" "I can hear the vibration," Lyra whispered. 3 sets of claws, light steps. "They're tracking us from above." Karn's jaw tightened. "Varkan scouts. They are searching for another entrance." Lyra looked at Evan. "We must be faster." They moved again, this time even quicker. But as they turned a corner, a loud metallic crash echoed far behind them. Evan spun around. "What was that?" "The door," Karn said. His voice was grim. "They broke through the steel." Evan felt panic rise like a wave. "They're coming." "Here." "Yes," Karn said. "And they will not stop." Evan's legs tensed. He felt fear gripping his chest, but he forced himself to move faster. His steps became quicker, his breaths sharper. He wasn't just running for himself anymore. He was running for Lyra. They reached a long corridor leading to the security core. Human signs on the walls pointed them the right way, but halfway down, the overhead lights flickered and then turned red. A siren blared. Lyra's eyes widened. No, they found another entrance. From the far end of the corridor, 3 Varkan scouts stepped into view. They moved with slow, predatory steps, Claws extended, green eyes glowing like toxic fire. Evan felt his legs freeze. Karn pushed him aside. "Stay behind me." Karn charged forward with a roar, swinging his massive blade. The clash of metal and claws echoed down the hall. Sparks burst as the Varkan struck back. One scout leapt to the wall, crawling sideways like an insect. Before launching itself at Karn, he met it with a brutal kick, sending it crashing into a panel. "Evan!" Lyra shouted. "Help me reach the security door." Evan snapped out of his shock. He grabbed her hover chair handles and pushed with all his strength. The chair hummed faster, boosting forward. Behind them, Karn fought fiercely, but the Varkan were too fast. Out the security corridor was only 10 meters. Away. 5 meters. 2 meters. Lyra slammed her hand onto the access panel. "Open, open, open, come on." The door slid open, just in time. Evan pushed Lyra through, then spun around. "Karn!" he shouted. Karn turned at the sound of his name, just as a Varkan scout leapt at him from behind. Evan's eyes widened in horror. Karn struck the creature midair with his blade, roaring in rage and pain. He staggered backward, bleeding heavily, but still standing. "Go!" Karn ordered. "Lock the door now." Evan hesitated for one heartbeat. Then Lyra screamed, "Evan, now!" Evan slammed the panel. The door sealed shut between them. Karn on one side, facing the beasts. Evan and Lyra on the other, safe but shaken. And the fight was far from over. The security corridor sealed with a heavy metallic clang, leaving Karn outside, facing the Varkan scouts alone. The sound of claws, steel, and roars echoed faintly through the thick walls. Evan pressed his palm to the closed door, breathing hard, his heart hammering against his ribs. Lyra stayed beside him, her hover chair floating low, her face pale with worry. "He will survive," Evan said softly, "as much for himself as for her." "He is strong," Lyra whispered. "But even the strongest warrior bleeds." Evan turned toward her. She looked so small in that moment, small but unbroken. Her hands shook, but her eyes stayed fierce. She lifted a trembling hand and touched his arm lightly. "Come," she said. "We must seal the human sector before more Varkan enter." Evan nodded and followed her deeper into the security core. The room was large, filled with glowing screens, control panels, and tall servers humming with energy. Blue lights blinked across the walls like stars. The air smelled faintly of metal and clean electricity. Lyra floated directly to the main console and tapped it with quick, precise motions. Evan watched in awe. Even with fear and exhaustion pulling her down, she moved with perfect skill. Holographic symbols rose around her, shifting and spinning as she worked. "You really know how to use all this?" Evan asked. Lyra gave him a tired smile. "When you grow up hiding, you learn how to control systems. Closed doors keep you alive." She entered a final command, and the screens flashed green. "Human sector locked," she whispered. "The Varkan cannot enter now. Not without setting off every alarm on the station." Evan exhaled a long breath of relief. "We made it." But Lyra did not smile. Instead, her hover chair sank slightly. She stared at the floor, silent. Evan stepped closer. "Lyra, what's wrong?" She looked up at him with eyes that glimmered with sadness. "My brother, he is still fighting, alone." Before Evan could speak, the console lit again with an alert symbol. Lyra tapped the display, and a small camera feed opened from the outer corridor. Karn stumbled into view. His armor was torn. Deep claw wounds marked his shoulders and chest. But he still fought like a storm, each swing of his blade knocking the scouts away with brutal force. The Varkan slashed back, fast and vicious. Evan felt a twist of fear in his stomach. "We have to help him." "We cannot open the door," Lyra said. "If we do, they will flood in." Evan looked at the feed again. Karn fought with everything he had. But no warrior, no matter how strong, could fight forever. Lyra bit her lip, her hands shaking over the controls. I should not have dragged you into this. You deserve a quiet life, a human life, not this. Evan shook his head. I chose to stay. Not because I understood everything, but because I knew you needed someone. Lyra stared at him. And now your brother needs someone, too. Before she could reply, Karn let out a roar, this one different. A roar of victory. He struck the final Varkan scout down. The creature fell and did not rise. Lyra gasped. He won. He really won. Karn collapsed against the wall, panting hard. Blood dripped down his arm, but he lifted his head proudly. Evan looked at Lyra. Open the door. He needs help. Lyra nodded quickly and unlocked the entry hatch. Evan ran out first, kneeling beside Karn. Easy, don't move. Help is coming. You did well, Karn gasped. You kept her safe. You are truly worthy. Lyra floated to her brother and touched his face with shaking hands. You fool, you scared me. Karn actually smiled. That is my job. For a moment, the three of them stayed there, breathing, healing, alive. Later, after medical teams took Karn away and secured the hall, Evan and Lyra stood alone outside the security core. The threat was gone, but the weight of what happened still pressed on them. Like gravity, Lyra's voice was soft when she finally spoke. There is one thing left. Evan looked her in the eyes. Your protection. Yes, she whispered. The Alliance will give it. But only if I bond with a human. Silence fell between them. Evan took a slow breath. He thought of the chase, the danger, the moment. He held her hand and said he wouldn't run. He thought of the way she fought to protect him, even without legs. He thought of her courage, her heart, her strange jokes. He saw her not as a helpless alien girl, but as a partner who faced fear with fire instead of tears. I meant it earlier, Evan said softly. I don't want to run. Not from you. Not from this. Lyra's eyes widened, glowing like soft silver moons. You will marry me? She whispered. Evan nodded. Not because the law says so, because I want to protect you, because you matter to me. Lyra pressed a hand to her mouth. Her eyes shined with tears, joyful ones this time. That is very practical, she whispered with a shaky smile. Very human. And very wonderful. Evan laughed softly. You said you can't walk out on me, but you might roll away very fast, she giggled. Yes, so you must keep up. Evan took her hand gently. Lyra held his back with surprising strength, and in that small, quiet moment, after chaos, danger, fear, and fire, their bond began not from pressure, but from choice. An unexpected bond. A human heart and an alien one, beating together in the middle of the stars.